Zapdos versus Empoleon lead traditionally has Empoleon going for Hydro Pump because T-Bolt will not get into Torrent range, and then Hydro Pump slams Zapdos really, really hard. And then every other possibility from that lead matchup kind of stems from that idea. That, of course, assumes that it is an offensive Empoleon and not just a defensive Empoleon leading off, so you have that disguise on the first turn. Kind of like when people used to lead off with Spinef Heatran, even just because they didn't have like much better of a choice, and so it would look like an offensive Heatran on the first turn. But generally, Empoleon leads are a lot more commonly going to be offensive, of course. But the variation more so comes from potentially Zapdos doing things like subbing on the first turn, or even not T-bolting, specifically to avoid that Torrent. Like Zapdos Heat Waving, for example. But it also depends on the Zapdos set, because not every Zapdos is going to have Heat Wave and is going to be in a position where they can afford to be cute around the Empoleon, and you also don't want to be switching out of the Empoleon more often than not, unless you've got a Blissey, if you've got that kind of balanced team with like a bulky Zapdos and a Blissey. Because if you're not running that, then odds are you are probably not going to have a much better one-on-one than Zapdos versus Empoleon. So it can kind of get intense. Anyway, Zapdos T-bolts into Latias, and then Latias doubles out to not get Pursuit Trapped. T-Char comes in, Zapdos reveals Protect. Protect Zapdos is a great set. I'm very interested to see where this goes. It usually suggests some sort of like semi-stallish team, but it's very good even on the offensive variants of Zapdos because its moveset is so flexible, and Azel thinks it can blow up on you, and goodbye. Same with, errant Metagross or Bronzong or whatever that can take a T-Bolt and blow up on you. Yeah, not anymore. Anyway, so the T-Char that came out on the Protect got the rocks as Piteous's Metagross came in. Great T-Char answer, gets up rocks, and now here we have Empoleon ready to unleash Hydro Pumps. So, yeah, with Rock Sub, Zapdos does not want to switch into this. Metagross, Metagross can threaten with EQ or whatever, but it's gonna, unless it's a fully Spinef Metagross, which is a great set for the record, it's really not going to appreciate taking that Hydro Pump, for a lot of reasons. It switches into T-Char, switches into Latias. It's generally going to be an important offensive-defensive glue on this kind of team. So, but on the other hand, the prospect of switching into Empoleon Hydro is just so fearsome, and that's why it's such a great lead. And in fact, sometimes when you have that Zapdos versus Empoleon lead, then if you have Zapdos against a super fast-paced team, which gets up rocks and doesn't really give you the opportunity to spin them if you even have spin. As a Zapdos team, you usually do. But on offensive ones, it's not even Specs, or not even Specs. It's not even Hydro, it's Surf. That's cool. When it hits that Metagross hard, Metagross does stay in and take that hit, so now Metagross is going to be under half health if it switches out, and whatever switches in is now taking a Torrent Surf. Better than Hydro, but not by a lot. Yeah, and when you have that Zapdos against the Empoleon, it's not as simple, and this is emblematic of lead matchups in general, it's not as simple as, can I win this lead matchup totally? It's, okay, I might not win this lead matchup as ideally as I would like, but what does this mean for the kinds of teams Empoleon is on? Like, offensive Zapdos, as threatening as it can be, is not going to get a million switch-in opportunities against a fast-paced, bruising, bulky offense team. So if you don't want to preserve it and let something else, take on Empoleon, as opposed to just, cut your losses, T-Bolt the Empoleon, and okay, Zapdos might go down, but you will have, it's a good Pokemon to sacrifice. I hope I'm making that point clear. If not, leave a comment. But I think I made the point, but I always have the need to illustrate it 16 different ways. Anyway, so here's kind of, are we going to see the Zapdos get sacrificed here based on that principle? Not that Zapdos is useless. I don't want to undersell it. But generally, when Zapdos offense was the preeminent team style in the metagame, then that was its one sort of weak spot. Okay, here comes Starmie into a Torrent Surf. That does a lot of damage. And it's got lefties, so no chance of being picked off by Sand plus Torrent Aqua Jet. But yeah, there's now here comes T-Tar switching into a water no, into a spin. Uh, Now we don't know what the T-Tar set is. It could be a million different things, and we don't have enough information to go off of whether it's Pasho or another item, or if it has Pursuit or not. But if I'm Piteous, then I just stay in Surf or Hydro, whatever, or T-Wave if I have it. Just because, yeah, I don't know. I guess you can kind of. All right, the Breloom switching in is good because either you preserve the Starmie or you get Breloom in and Rocks aren't up. Okay, so that's fine. But it just feels. Oh wow, that's a fast T-Tar / slower Breloom as it gets the Rocks up. Not afraid of a Mach Punch. Here comes the Gengar into the Mach Punch, beautifully done by Skyro. So now he's got those Rocks up permanently. And Gengar in. Life Orb Gengar, but it's a bulky Breloom, so it should be able to survive the Shadow Ball. Yeah, I think when you keep Starmie in, then you'll figure out what the T-Tar's doing exactly. I mean, I guess it's reasonable. Not all Rocks T-Tars run Pursuit. It's hard to fit, I understand, because you want Crunch and Fire Blast and Superpower, and sometimes other moves. But Pursuit is kind of a big deal, so I think just staying in, chunking it for a little bit of damage. even if it's Pasho and you do nothing, you chunk it a little bit and you know what item it is for sure, which makes it easier to plan around. And I don't know, it's that kind of situation where Starmie just loses for nothing. I mean, I get the upsides though. It's not a play I hate. It's just getting oh wow, that did nothing, and it's not Life Orb Gengar either. Well, it's not Black Sludge, so I wonder what it is. Maybe Colbur Berry or something, because that Shadow Ball bounced. I mean, it's a 2 KO. It's not bouncing off. But Piteous goes for a Seed Bomb, just in case. I don't know, like, Sub with Gengar there is. I don't think Sub is going off, but I don't know what this is. It's going to be Shadow Ball, Focus Blast, Boom, and then Will-O-Wisp, maybe? Taunt, perhaps? But Will-O-Wisp Explosion is always my favorite set on this kind of thing. Hey, maybe it's Wide Lens, Will-O-Wisp Hypnosis. That'd be funny. But, Piteous is really under timer pressure here. Yep, and I am really appreciating the Can nicknames from Piteous, though. I do love Can. And is he going to... Okay, in comes Heatran. He's going to scare it out with Scarf. Very old school style team. It is that kind of like Zapdos bulky offense style I was mentioning. I like that. So he didn't want to pivot it into a potential Focus Blast. Because that would be a good opportunity for Gengar to throw out a Focus Blast before. On like a free turn like that, when there's a likely sack, it's like, hey, I'm not letting T-Tar in for free. So he absorbed it with Metagross and then drew the safe Shadow Ball and got it in. And then he got to preserve Metagross as death fodder, which is important given the slugfest he's up against, or in the midst of, rather. So now Zapdos as the Infernape check. I mean, just barely, and it drops the Infernape, so now it's just a matter of, well, Gengar's going to pick it off. I don't know if he's going to use the Gengar to pick it off, though. The last is very, it feels like a DDT-Tar to me. In that last slot. Here comes Gengar, because it forces... if you're Piteous, do you just, go all in on preserving your sacrifices and just go right to Heatran again? It feels like you need to, because it's so far behind. There's Protect. Oh, nicely done. Yeah, so really making Gengar drop to that sand quickly. So... Sorry about that. Okay. Yep, Heatran is in fact coming in. That would have been a great turn to Focus Blast. But, ooh, that's a nasty crit. Almost in Stealth Rock range. It's going to be... tough to say if it's going to matter or not. I mean, at this point you sack Gengar because you may as well keep the Empoleon. And, hey, forces to hit Fire Blast. So, I guess it really depends. Skyrio's last is not as well, I don't want to say Piteous' last is predictable, but it's more in line with the traditional structure, where Skyrio's got a bunch of different things it could be. He's got a lot of speed. I think it's something that's going to give him some backbone, though, because he's got the lead Empoleon, which is going to go down early generally. He's got the 2 Frail Speedsters and Gengar. Yep, there's the Tar. He's got the Gengar and Infernape, the 2 Frail Speedsters. So he's got to have some more hit-taking capability, because Latias and T-Tar, yeah, they're good defensively, but he is completely incapable of switching into physical attackers like DD Tar. So I think a steal, actually another steal in this regard would be very helpful. Like a Metagross or a Bronzong or a physical Jirachi of some sort. You know, even a Scizor. Oh, it's not a DD Tar, it's Pursuit. Okay, I mean, that also works. Hey, it is Scizor. Cool. Well, this could also be a mixed T-Tar, but do we know what kind of Scizor this is? Could it be Scarf? I mean, I actually kind of think it is, because, okay, I guess it's not. It's Akka. It lives the... Oh, that's a brutal turn. That was a game. That was the game there, I think. Oh, that's gruesome. That was... Yeah, that was a horrifying... Wow. Yeah, I think he had the game there. The SD Scizor cleaning up. Because I'm sure it would have outsped Breloom if like, T-Tar was outspeeding it. That, oh my god, that Fire Blast burn. Wow. Yeah. So it is a mixed T-Tar. I suppose the Heatran did get crit. So, yeah, I'm wondering how big that was, because the Heatran crit does bring it closer to Scizor Bullet Punch range. But if we look at it again and switch viewpoint just for the funsies, then we get the Heatran to... And this Shadow Ball does 43. So, you know, let's just take off, call it 21%, and bring it back up to 34, right? So then it's going to be 22 after Rocks. I mean, I think that it would still be able to survive a Bullet Punch, but I don't know that you necessarily get to the situation where Heatran... I mean, you may be able to force Heatran in again for that last round of Rocks. You know, so... Also, because note how here the nothing switches into the Latias. I mean, I guess the T-Tar could have switched into Latias before, but I don't see something that really makes a difference in turn. I guess cutting your losses and throwing away the weakened Heatran? We'd have to bust out the damage calc, but... yeah, I don't know, because T-Tar can switch in here, so theoretically it might have... If he was willing to sacrifice the Heatran. But that's that's an if. So, yeah, I don't think the Heatran was getting KO'd, but that's a really unfortunate one, though. Yeah, because the Breloom was... Yeah, I mean, we said that part already. Alright. I would love to get another game in here, if we can. That was I like the teams. You know, I'm a big fan of this style of team. And I like Skyrios, too, because it keeps you on your toes. And I really like the synergy here. I think there were some moves that, at the fast pace this was being played at, I would have liked to have looked at more. Yeah, I don't know about sacrificing the Infernape. I mean, I get it, kinda. We don't know the Infernape set, either. But... Like, and sacrifice and weakening the Zapdos is nice for Scizor and everything. But, like, Latias was still pretty healthy to my recollection at that point. So I think that would have been a great opportunity. I guess it's Scarf, so it's not really threatening. But, yeah. Yeah, another one of those moves I was really thinking about was the Seed Bomb into the Gengar. Just because, like, if you're a Life Orb sub-Gengar, let's say, which is an extremely rare set now, but let's say, subbing on Breloom like that when it's so obligated to Seed Bomb is, I don't know, because, and even if you do Spore on the sub, then Gengar is going to Shadow Ball, but you still live, and it's taking Sub and Sand and Life Orb and more Sand. So all in all, I don't know. I think you might have been able to, if you're willing to take that Life Orb Shadow Ball as you were, then you can go then you can go for it. I think because it's a lot greater reward as opposed to Seed Bombing, which kind of gets you the same result. So. Yeah, I think Spore on Gengar was definitely worth considering. Yeah, but what was the other thing? Yeah, that's T-Jar living that Seed Bomb, as you see here, actually makes it so scared of the Scarf Heatran. But, yeah, Infernape, yeah, Latias at 81. I don't know, Infernape is so scary here. And again, we don't know the set. It, probably doesn't have Mach Punch if it's like Fire Blast, CC, HP Ice, Grass Knot. That old set. But yeah, I don't know. Because the Latias also has Healing Wish, so you might be able to bring back. I don't know. It feels like just if you force out the Zapdos for another round of rocks, then you can unleash the rest for... I don't know, I guess the Zapdos is kind of scary, though, because if it... But no, it's because it's going to T-Bolt here, so you force it out with Latias here, and then it's very manageable with everything else you have. I guess if you really are going for that Scizor late game. Okay, this one I'm going to say, alright, this one's more up in the air. But, yeah, I don't know about revenging with the Gengar, though, because of the Protect Zapdos, which, admittedly, while watching, slipped my mind. But, yeah, just because if you leave if you bring... Actually, I don't know if it makes a difference, because if you are going to go for that Shadow Ball and Heatran's going to switch in, then you are going to... Yeah, then Gengar is going to be put in range of rocks and sand anyway, so that one might not have made too much of a difference. Yeah, as opposed to preserving Latias, or preserving Gengar and going to Latias. Yeah. Big crit. And yeah, now all this stuff we know, but... So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say. But interesting game. I like these fast-paced games, and I like what we saw from both players. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.